So here we are, Vinyltag 2023. I'm going to try and not make this a long one because I like burning through these and hate people who take 35 minutes. So we're going to try and make this quick. Number one, favorite new release of 2022. This was an easy one. My absolute favorite singer in the whole wide world, after working professionally for more than 20 years, has gone solo and released a few singles this year. Her album isn't out yet, but I did manage to pick up her single. This was a Record Store Day exclusive in the Netherlands. This was a free handout. You can't buy this in stores, and I went way out of my way to get a copy of this. Very happy to have it. Last band that I saw live. It's been a while. It's actually pre-pandemic, so if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know. Jinjer. If you don't know who Jinjer is, I recommend that you go on YouTube and look up Jinjer Pices, the live session. You get an idea of who these people are. Hugely talented alternative rock band, and their lead singer, Tatiana. Go into the video blind. You'll thank yourself later. Their first album was their best. This was a little bit of a difficult one, but I wanted to try and not do what everyone else is doing. So I picked something a little bit different than everyone else. This is Television, Marquee Moon. They didn't really have that many albums. I think they only dropped 3 or 4 albums. But this is a classic. If you have never had the pleasure of listening to this, you need to make it a point to go out and find this and listen to it. Excellent, excellent album. Everything that they did past that was okay, but definitely not their best. Hat Trick. I actually had a couple of these to choose from. I am definitely format agnostic. So I do have some cassettes floating around, and I have all kinds of CDs floating around, and I have reel-to-reels, and I have all kinds of other things. But going through my list on Discogs, I came down with a few different ones to choose from, so today we're doing George Michael Faith. An album that starts and ends with the same letter. I've seen quite a few people do some of these, and I had initially picked them, but decided I wanted to be a little bit different. And just to keep it a little bit lighthearted, an old disco classic. Chic, c'est chic. CC. Always a good one. Someone born in the same year as you. I've seen a lot of people do this one incorrectly. You're not supposed to pick an album that came out in the year you were born, or anything like that. You're supposed to pick somebody who is the same age as you, born in the same year. For me, that's David Grohl from Foo Fighters, amongst many, many, many other people. Most listened to album in 2022. I gotta be honest with you, this was kind of my year of a 50 album challenge. I've been trying to catch up on some of my old ones that I haven't listened to in forever. So I didn't really have anything that stuck out, but I did start getting into Weather Report a lot. And this one here got quite a few spins this year for me, so I'll say that's my most listened to album in 2022. Most listened to artist, well, that's Jansen from number one. Not only did she drop some of her first singles finally, but she was also on a German television show, Sing Meinen Song. If you dig around on the internet, you can find some English language subtitled versions of that. And if you don't know who Jansen is, then I don't know what to tell you. You're missing out, because she is the best female vocalist currently producing music. Australian artist. Quite a few of these things. Most people have gotten the usual ones, AC/DC. The Bee Gees are kind of sort of Australian, but not really. But I wanted to dig around, and I came across one I didn't know was Australian. I was a little surprised. The Divinyls. You probably know them from their big hit, I Touch Myself, from back in the 80s. They had a couple of hits back in the 80s. I never knew they were Australian. So today I learned. A record people would be surprised that I've purchased. I don't have a single album, but I have a group, maybe, that people are a little bit surprised, because not many people like these guys or even know about them. But I'm actually a big fan of Spyro Gyra. Probably because they're from my hometown. I actually had opportunity to meet them several times and see them play many, many, many times. I'm an old saxophone player, so I'm very much into some of the jazz from around the 80s time frame. And I definitely got into that kind of stuff. An artist you are complete on. I have a few. I actually am not a completist. I have several that are very, very close. Queen, I'm only missing Hot Spaces. I think I have all of Zeppelin, to be honest. Um, Pink Floyd, I think I have everything. But, and an oddball one, I also have Gentle Giant. I'm missing one. But I think the one that I've gone out of my way for to make sure that I have all of their albums is Genesis. So that's my completion. I'm not about to drag them all out. The only one I'm missing from Genesis, I think, one or two of their '90s albums, but I have all of their stuff from earlier than that. I have from Genesis to Revelation and all of their early stuff with Peter Gabriel, all the way through the Phil Collins era. A great run of 3 albums. Again, this was one of those ones. It could have been easy. Just press the easy button and take in Stevie Wonder or David Bowie or somebody like that. But I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and come up with something a little bit different. And this may be controversial. Maybe people don't agree with me. Uh, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, and then Rage for Order after that. And this one, a lot of people don't like. I personally like the Queensryche Empire. This is kind of what got me turned on to them initially, because this got a lot of radio play and introduced me to the band. And then I found, of course, the genius magnum opus of Operation Mindcrime. But yeah, that was a really good string of 3 records. If you've never had the pleasure of listening to Operation Mindcrime or know who Queensryche is, you definitely should listen to them. Some absolutely amazing music and great musicality from these folks. An 80s soundtrack. I have a lot of soundtracks. I had a lot to choose from, but I again wanted to pick something that nobody else would pick and something not necessarily as obvious. Like The Lost Boys is an obvious choice. Lots of great music on that. But one of the ones that tends to fly under the radar that nobody pays attention to is Vision Quest. And Vision Quest has a lot of good stuff on here. You have Journey and John Waite. You have Madonna, Don Henley, Dio. Of course, Red Rider's Lunatic Fringe. Great song. Sammy Hagar, Foreigner. There's a lot of great songs on this one. This is one that gets missed by a lot of people. They overlook it. A lot of good songs. Let's see here. We lost them in 2022. I decided to take a little bit of a different take on this one. Of course, everyone's going to talk about Christy McVie, and they're going to talk about Meatloaf, and they're going to talk about Olivia Newton-John, and all of those. But I'm very much a technical person. So with that, what I noticed as I was going through the list of people that we lost this year was Herbert Deutsch. He was the co-creator of the Moog synthesizer. I can't even begin to tell you the contributions that little invention has had on music over the course of the last several decades. I think that's a big one that's probably going to get overlooked by everyone. So hats off to Herbert Deutsch for that. Number 15, disappointing purchase. Didn't really have any, so I'm just going to skip that. Non-vinyl purchase. I didn't really pick up any books or anything this year. I didn't really pick up any posters. About the only thing that I picked up that was non-vinyl. As I had said before, I'm sort of format agnostic, so I did manage to come across an ELO out of the blue on Reel to Reel. I wouldn't say I've been looking for that for a long time, but as soon as it popped up on the shelf, I had to have it. So I grabbed that, and that's now in my Reel to Reel collection. A GRAIL. Okay, I cheated on this one. I definitely went Discogs, but I picked up something that I've been wanting for a long time. And I treated myself. So I have a UK first pressing Pink Floyd, the Pink Floyd, of Arnold Lane, their very first single. Yes, I picked that up from Discogs. I had it shipped over here from England. But that's the GRAIL that I added into my collection this year. That's the one I'm most proud of. A space-based album. A lot to choose from there. But I just happened to get one right at the end of the year that I've been waiting on for a while from Mondo. And I don't know if y'all are science fiction fans like myself, but I got hooked on Dune. So I picked up the storybook special edition from Mondo. So this is my space-based album. VCLT or a present from someone. Didn't have any VCLT. I don't seem to travel around in those groups. But I did have somebody, a friend of mine who owns the record store, did manage to give me this, just because he was curious what it is and I was curious what it is. I had no idea. This is a little band out of Wisconsin called Government Cheese. So he gave that to me as kind of a freebie for doing a couple of favors for him. They're different. It's a rock group. They're a small group out of, actually, did I say Wisconsin? They're out of Wisconsin. They're out of Kentucky. Sorry about that. But yeah, an interesting local band. Not too bad. I wouldn't go out of my way for them, but it was pretty interesting. And last but not least, an album released in 1973. Again, huge list to choose from. I was going to initially go with debut albums that were big in that year, not the least of which was Queen. There was a couple of other big ones but I decided I came across one that really stuck out to me, and that was this. This is Jim Croce's I Got a Name. This was recorded in just the days before the airplane crash that took his life, and this was released posthumously in December of 1973. Excellent artist. Again, if you don't know who Jim Croce is, then you need to get a clue and pick up some of the best singer-songwriter of all time. So anyways, short and sweet, that's my Vinyltag 2023. And I hope y'all are enjoying it. I am looking forward to listening to all of your recordings and what your list has. So I will catch you on the flip side.